us now feast on virtual offerings like Alex Rowe's virtual Metropolitan Playhouse. Welcome, Alex, to High Drama. I finally got you here.
Oh, it's an honor and a pleasure to see, and I love seeing you and Bina and Jen, all so many faces I've missed while we've been locked down.
Well, you see our written notes. We write to you because we get to chat while the plays are going on. It's been wonderful because you have it on Zoom and YouTube. And every Saturday, 8 o'clock, drop everything for your wonderful, you're so inventive. You had the East Side Story still. So the monologues of people in the neighborhood in the East Village, you still have your old 1910 plays that we never heard of. And tell us how you finally came around to thinking, what was your light bulb moment like, oh my gosh, I can turn this into a virtual playhouse and carry on?
It's a wonderful question. In the first week that we were shut down, we decided not to do one of the plays that we were preparing. We were just about to go into tech. And there was a week before the governor suggested that non-essential businesses stay open. And I was going down to the theater regularly and missing everyone, cleaning up and organizing our files and realizing how many people were deprived of the opportunity to work on the shows and how many people were deprived of the small income they were going to get from the shows and were going to be losing their jobs otherwise. And I was just scrambling in my head to think about what could we do to keep the wonderful community we have of artists and actors and audience together. And I'd never used Zoom before. I'd never had a YouTube station. I never really thought about it, but it occurred to me that we might just give people a little bit of work by giving them a reading. And that snowballed into this tremendous, ongoing weekly project. I mentioned it in passing to one of my neighbors. I thought, well, maybe we could do play readings online. He said, what a wonderful idea. I think he's never actually watched one of them, but he was the catalyst to making it happen. So it was that drive to keep people connected, to keep people active, and the realization that the best way to do that would be to keep them acting in some capacity or other.
The thing is this is one of the best playhouse for me, because first of all, two things. I live very close to it. I'm on 9th Street, and it's just a delight to just walk there. And the thing is, then you see things which I have never seen before. I discovered the American theater of the 50s, of the 60s, of the 70s,
Well, I'm so flattered. It's what a wonderful, heartening description of our work when we're live.
I mean it. Okay.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, we've always been devoted to trying to understand through forgotten plays. And this has given us a new opportunity to look at a bunch of plays that we wouldn't have. But everything that Bina said about the theater, it's close enough she can walk to it. Well, now anybody can get to it. They just have to get from their bedroom to their living room, maybe. And it's intimate and small. Now it's the size of a computer screen. So a lot of the the staging, which Bina has given us such wonderful credit for, and it really is credit to the marvelous actors who work with us, the other directors who come in and work with the space in a way that makes you forget that you're in a theater, or even that you're not in the drama. This platform has allowed us to do a very similar thing. We're right there. Everything is in close up, just like this meeting. And so a lot of the transition to the new medium, and I really do think of it as a new medium, has taken from everything we learned by being in that small, intimate space. I don't think that what we're doing really as theater, although we put it on theater blogs and we broadcast it as theater, because it is a different art. And I think the thing that we learned to do and are continuing to learn and play with is interact with the camera the way that we're all interacting now, and take the skills of communication, of play reading, of even design, because we do have artists do our backgrounds and design them, and translate that to this new format. But the way we learned to do it has been entirely trial and error. I've been doing most of the technical work, trying to get us improved and change what we do. But the artists, the actors and the directors have had great inspirations about how to use the camera, how to use the frame. Mm-hmm. And I'll finally say, because this I think everyone will appreciate, Zoom is a frustrating medium, and sometimes your internet goes out. and you can't figure out how to get on or how to make a virtual background or how to get the lighting right. And we spent a lot of the initial period of rehearsal, and we generally rehearse over the period of a week, only about 10 hours or so. But we spent a lot of that time figuring out just what's going to be right for the given show and how do we defeat the tech. I have a meeting after this where I'm going to experiment with 4 other conferencing services just to see if we can try some other way of doing it, because it's always a challenge.
It's also
I find the solutions you've come up with are really extraordinary. Even from the beginning, the Susan Glassell play about the 4 women playing cards together. It really worked perfectly for Zoom because we got the sense of the 4 women sitting, at the table from their different angles, even though we're looking at them head on. And, so it felt like the card game worked perfectly. And more recent stuff, the integration of the virtual background, the one that you were doing, the monologue from the guy who worked in the motorcycle shop, I really thought I was in that place. And then Cocaine, the set or the virtual background was like a period expressionist set that worked perfectly for the show. And also, again, the intimacy of the camera placement. I really felt like both of the characters were in bed together, and we were sort of sharing it with them. And, that made that play really extraordinary. So, I think you've, in small, subtle ways, I think you've really worked very hard and very successfully at creating this new hybrid.
interesting for the actors, I think, because you basically have your audience, 2 feet from your face looking into your eyes. So the concentration has really got to be there, or you can immediately see it, So it's hard for the actors too, very. Yeah.
I think that's right. And one of the big frustrations, one of our director actors, John Long, who's done a lot of great stuff for us, has said as an actor, is he really misses being able to take the physical cues that you kind of feel from someone when you're in the same room for them. Whereas Michael Hardart, who directed Cocaine, and Aaron Bernard and James Ross, who put that together, were really, really devoted to making it seem like you were in the space that you forget you were in a Zoom reading. And so that the lying in the bed. Vincent Gunn did these fantastic, beautiful attic paintings, which we even raised the sunrise on one of them at the end. And all of that was, very careful work and practice as we continue to try to experiment with it. The one thing, Mark, I think you said, which really reminds me of my favorite things about this, in both Hearts, which was the Alice Gerstenberg play you mentioned, and in Cocaine, you really get the feeling as the audience member that you are sitting in the middle of the card table, or you're in bed with them, as creepy as that might be. And that's something I've really enjoyed. When we started out, I thought that it would be kind of a Hollywood Squares-like experience, or for younger viewers, not that young, the Brady Bunch, where you'd all be in different boxes. And if I wanted to talk to somebody who was in the box on my left, I would go like this. You might be on the right because my camera might be reversed. That's something we deal with. But it actually doesn't work that way. I think the audience's experience is that they are in the drama, and they don't want to experience it as if they're looking at a bunch of boxes on the screen, but they keep becoming the scene partner. They become a fly on the wall or a fly on the carafe in the middle of the card table. And that's been fascinating to experience, even as the actors are doing what I'm doing, which is talking to a little, well, actually, I'm even talking about half a centimeter to the left of a little green dot on my computer screen.
The other thing that's really amazing is not only do you do the plays, but then afterwards we always get a talk back with an expert. So we even learn more about the play and learn more about the background. So it gives us even more clarity. It's amazing what you do.
They've been so generous. I've been moved, but also just so informed to meet scholars from around the country. And that's one person referring someone who refers somebody else. And it's an opportunity we never would have had locally, because there's no way we could fly people in. But with a small honorarium, I have these wonderful scholars, and it really does enhance the evening. I'm glad you mentioned that, even.
You usually have big casts, and the actors, they're so aware of the space, but they're very talented actors. They move so smoothly they never have like bumped into the furniture or bumped into each other. I noticed that all the time. And you know, my acting teachers used to say that two things you should not do: bump into furniture or knock down the furniture or out into another actor. And it's just really amazing what you do, because, you know, Irene Forness, the director, she was very fabulous director, and she always had this sense of space. And she always told her student that this is, keep the space in mind.
That is sort of the experience of the Zoom plays, is like being in a box. And I should tell you, I went for an audition for a big musical I was trying out for. And as I finished my song, I backed up and stepped right into a chair. And I didn't quite fall over it, but I committed that cardinal sin. I ran into the furniture. I knew my lines, but I ran into the furniture.
I've been thinking that it's very much like radio used to be. I'm old enough to remember radio, and the mental process of the audience as you watch it, you imagine things, and you can imagine things if you suspend your disbelief and just let it go. And I really think that's marvelous, because it's a much more active thing than film or television, much more active for the mind, and I think that's terrific.
I'll just throw in, you know, and this can be cut or not, we're also airing on WBAI radio. Most every program is simulcast. And that's been a new thing to think about. You know, is the play, which we designed for the video format, but is it translating to the radio as well? Because they are very much alike. I think you're exactly right. And that's been a whole new venture here to figure out how to make them work allly.
With sound, yes. Again, I had I once worked with an actress, a radio actress named Elsner Matthews, who played Stella Dallas on the air from 1935 until 1955. She was incredible, and we did some recording with her, and watching her work was an absolute eye-opener for everyone involved. She would start talking, the needle stayed exactly on 0, it never went up, it never went down, and she was never quiet for an instant. She acted with her voice, and the transitions never stopped sounding. It was a fascinating experience.
So what do you have planned for October?
Well, you know, October is right upon us, isn't it? Interestingly enough, we are thinking of The War of the Worlds, the Mercury Theater broadcast on Halloween on October 31st, which has sort of become a tradition with the airing of the movie about the events of that night. Upcoming is our friend Michelle LaRue, whom you may know. She's a solo storyteller and has for many years read stories from often the early 20th century or late 19th century in a series called Tales Well Told. Michelle's been a guest live at the theater space on East 4th Street, 220 East 4th, if anyone wants to walk by and wave at the banners. And she had a very successful reading of a story in July. So we're going to bring her back, although we haven't decided what it's going to be yet. And then the final one, Determined, is a play called The Clod. It's a Civil War drama about someone on the Mason-Dixon line who's caught between hiding one soldier in sort of unwittingly from another, and the resolution of that. It's really, really interesting to do that right now, given the sort of romanticizing of the Civil War that was common at the end of the 19th century. And that we saw with the erection of statues and so on. And in this current discourse, here's a play that's really questioning that romance as well. We have a couple other coming up at the end of September also, all of them fascinating and really pertinent, it seems to me right now. So I'm kind of thrilled by what's down the line.
And you keep them up too, so even if we miss it, we can still catch it later.
Well, you can catch them for a few days. The monologues that we posted in August, which are some of our interviews with local residents, including the one that Mark kindly referenced that I did of the Hugh Mackey at 6th Street specials, those are up still because they're non-union actors working in them. The union work that we do, anytime we involve a union player, we have permission to leave them posted for only a few days. So you can see them, but you have to catch them by Wednesday after the Saturday.
And I gotta ask this, I know it's not till December, but will we be having a virtual It's a Wonderful Life read along? Because you know me and Barry, the late great Barry Liebman, we love It's a Wonderful Life. It's our favorite event of winter time.
Absolutely. You know, for many years, I forget how many by now, we've done an act along where we ask people to come and just choose parts at random and read through an abbreviated screenplay of Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, the Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed movie, and Lionel Barrymore and all the greats. So this year, yes, absolutely. I want to do it again. We'll make it a big Zoom meeting, I guess, with a delicate password so we're not bombed. And everybody will get a part sent to them, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know what to expect. Bring your own eggnog, I guess.
I know usually we bring our own food and have a lovely potluck thing, so we'll just have to have our potluck and just kind of share it virtually.
I think that's right.
You know, Kevin's grand uncle, Thomas Mitchell, is in the movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Plays Uncle Billy.
Yeah.
I got to be Uncle Billy twice.
This is Kevin's grand uncle, mother's uncle, you know, Thomas Mitchell. Yeah. They all keep running to each other, like they call from all over the world. Uncle Billy is on, Uncle Billy is on, you know, on all the Thanksgiving dinners, they all watch that. Yeah, it's a great film.
So how do you choose what you choose? I mean, how do you find things that are you know, compatible with Zoom?
Well, you know, Mark made such an interesting comment about Hearts being set for the Zoom format, and certainly we've tried to take account of that, but I found that most of the plays that we just like and we think are worth doing now, either for their sheer entertainment or for the political or the social, or even the psychological resonance with what we're all experiencing. If we like the play, usually we can find a way that it works for Zoom, but sometimes that means an accommodation that you didn't expect. And there's one coming up a couple of weeks, and it'd be too hard to explain why, but we realized that the ending moment as designed by or conceived by the author, Susan Glaspell, this is for a play called A Woman's Honor, would have done one thing in person. A door opens and a very large menacing figure is in the doorway. But in Zoom, we're going to change it. We don't need to do a large menacing figure. We can bring in a whole bunch of other figures. And so there are adaptations we make to the stage directions, but I haven't actually yet found a play that we rejected because we thought it wouldn't work in this format. It's just adapting, really.
It's kind of amazing, but I mean, as far as high drama goes, Zoom is almost like the best thing that ever happened to high drama, because we get to do interviews that we normally can't do. I mean, we've had people from Paris and from Germany, and it's like, it's exciting almost. So it's nice that you can make lemonade out of lemons.
I also think it's extraordinary that you have been able to teach us so much about the Provincetown Players and, you know, that whole kind of social group and the whole movement towards a new kind of theater that, you know, I'd seen references to in books, and because of O'Neill, you know, you do get footnotes, but I'd never realized just how extraordinary all the other writers and the whole connection with the masses publication. And, you know, it just made me think like, wow, these people were really onto something and they deserve to be discovered in a big way. So thanks for, you know, like stringing together a lot of them.
I've had the same experience. I didn't know nearly so much about them. And this weekend's show, which this may air after it's played, but is from the Washington Square Players by a very important director through the 20th century. I had no idea about them either, but it's been a real education for us. We don't mean to get stuck in just Provincetown, but you're right, they produced so much compelling work, and there was such an interesting group of people, and you know, somehow their social experiments and what they were dealing with, even on the edge of a pandemic in 1918, is very, very familiar to us. You know, it seems to work in a way, which has been really exciting.
You know, now in London and England, they are doing the forgotten plays. They're reviving some. I said, oh, maybe they heard from Alex.
Well, there's a wonderful theater called Finborough Repertory that's been doing actually lost American plays as well as forgotten English plays for 40 years. And you know, they didn't need us to tell them what to do, but it's interesting. We often see that we're doing the same things or very similar things.
What's the name of the theater?
Finborough. So
okay.
Fin, like F-I-N and then borough.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know, I don't think that old plays are the only plays people should do by any means. But it really, there's a lot there. And so that's it's been very fruitful for us to try and remember our past with the thought of telling us who we are and helping us figure out who we want to be.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
I know, it's amazing how these old plays are just so relevant today. It's like whatever's old is new again.
The human condition keeps repeating itself, unfortunately.
You know, better or worse.
Yeah, right. And the same problems that Antigone have, why women today have. It's the same thing. So it's us. It's the problem.
Do you raid libraries to find all these, or did you know about, you know, because some of them I've never even heard, like Pendleton King, the guy that wrote Cocaine. I mean, these people, I never even heard of them. How do you find out about these very obscure but were famous at the time people?
Credit where credit's due. Erin Bernard, who played Nora in Cocaine, discovered that play, but she found it in a collection of Provincetown works. I'm not sure if it was a published one or if she found it through a website that was online. There is a Provincetown Playhouse website that Jeffrey Kennedy operates. Has a lot of suggestions, but the answer, even the short answer, is it's almost entirely through the internet now. And if you do some searching, you'll see a reference to a play, and then you go look for the play's title, and then maybe you find, you know, another reference that leads you to a library, and there's an online version. Sometimes we order them or go to libraries. We used to go to the New York Public Library, and I would go through the stacks there. But now it's much more just sort of following trails of breadcrumbs and seeing what you find. You have to be proactive, of course, but it's serendipitous and comes through references and recommendations and chance.
There's so much wonderful work in regional theater too. This is allowing us to reach out to that and to see that and to become a part of it. Just simply, I mean, you can do a play and have an actor in Chicago and an actor in Los Angeles and an actor in Great Britain, for heaven's sakes. And I think that's really quite exceptional and very exciting in lots and lots of ways.
It's a treasure hunt, and you bring us treasures.
Thanks, Alex. That was
Comforting.
really terrific. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you all. It's really a pleasure. I'm so grateful to you for asking. Thank you very much.
This week for Dance's Corner, we're bringing back the talented Lori Belilove from the Isadora Duncan Dance Foundation. We interviewed her on September 12th, but ran out of time just as she was beginning to tell us about the dance concert she'll be performing today, September 26th, in the stunning walled garden at Untermeyer's Garden in Yonkers, and a lot of personal information about the almost mythical Isadora Duncan.
But I decided not to go the great big Southern Roses buoyant big waltz numbers, you know, just back off a little bit. We will do the bacchanal. That'll be fun. Yeah, a moment of bacchanal, you know, or the joie de vivre, you know, just, and they drop to the floor in the end and have that beautiful thing. So yeah, it gives you an idea of program. What else are we gonna do? We're going to start very slow with all these figurines that come right out of ancient Greece, like sculptures come to life. And that's called tanagra figures. And we do one movement followed by the next, all in unison, but I'm going to put them around in the gardens a little bit. Some will be up close and others will be behind. If you look at the pictures of our website, we have some pictures, a whole story about it, and the gardens. Our backdrop will literally be this, it's a Persian design. It looks like Versailles with gardens, pools, water pools and plants all along as our backdrop. And the audience will be sitting in this marble amphitheater space. I mean, it's no joke, $50 a ticket, you know, it's really an event to come to because you get to walk through these gardens to get there.
The pictures on your website are really stunning.
Oh, so you saw, yeah, and the history and all that good stuff. So we're looking forward to it. If there's no rain and we do the 13th, we'll have a second show on September 26th.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Jay Michaels for Indy in 60 at High Drama. Well, the master scribe himself, Jan Ewing, hit another milestone. His archival series, Ewing Reviewing, is already into volume 3. This is the pandemic edition, including Zoom showings. Now, his play, Nursery Rhymes, which enjoyed a phenomenal run off Broadway, Reformatted now to fit Zoom, played to over 5,000 viewers on YouTube and other platforms. Both editions of the play are published through Smith Scripts. Sunflower Duran and her company, Pink Arts Peace Productions, continues to battle this current situation with varied and fascinating productions. John Patrick Shanley's Women of Manhattan, for instance, will be presented on Zoom on September 27, and your admission ticket to that gets you a free ticket to see the live production at the American Theater of Actors, when there can be a live production, that is. She is also producing the indie film Diary of Kate the Ripper, about the famous slasher's child, and it is written by Eddie Sanchez. She's also reviving the play Two Faces, One Mirror in December, and presenting a fundraiser, Radical Voices, The Otherness of Feminism, 1 month before in November. That's it for now. Next time, what happens when a savvy accountant becomes a savvy theater, film, and music producer? This is Jay Michaels, and this is Indy in 60 on High Drama.
So I just told you every Saturday at 8 o'clock, you've got Metropolitan Playhouse that you can see until Wednesday. And other things that are always on that you can always check out is Stars in the House. It's on usually every night. Sometimes they have matinees on Saturday and Sunday. Again, unless it's a play, that you have 4 days. Union allows you to be on 4 days if it's a play situation. And another thing that is always on every week, it's my favorite thing. It makes me so happy. It makes me survive the whole global pandemic. You might recognize by imitation, Julie Halston. Virtual Halston every Friday at 5 o'clock. It's on YouTube. And really, you give yourself a treat. You'll laugh. She has wonderful guests like Linda Lavin and Michael Urie. She even had Mo Rocco at one point. I mean, it's just really fun. So, and we love our little dance corner, and there's a lot going on. So check everything, check everywhere, and enjoy. And also happy New Year that just passed, and fast well for tomorrow night, and happy high holidays. Have a sweet and healthy.